What is the most ridiculous college major you've ever heard of? Penis. My school offered a major in political economy of newly industrialized societies, but eventually realized the acronym and changed the name. Pity. I hope some were able to get their degrees with a concentration in penis. An old friend has a bachelor's degree in outdoor activities. He was never able to explain exactly what that meant, though. IIRC, like 20 years ago some college in Indiana offered a major in world domination. PhD in general studies. My university had an interdisciplinary studies department that served mainly to get super-duper seniors graduated. They would cobble together the random credits people got because they changed majors every semester into a degree. You get some wild majors like a BA in culinary traditions and music in the former British Empire. At MIT you can be certified in being a pirate if you complete the courses of pistol, archery, sailing, and fencing. Puppetry. You can become a doctor of puppetry at UConn. Wasn't there a school that ended up doing a esports degree? Guess if you wanted to start a league or team it would be nice, but kids just joining to get good is not good, lol. North Carolina State made a degree for a basketball player in university studies. Golf. It was made so the vice chancellor could buy a private golf course for the university, so he could play on it. I believe it had 5 enrollments ever, and one was a joke that didn't show up or pay. It got cancelled the first year, but he got to enjoy his own personal golf course for some years after. Peace studies. She works part-time in a coffee shop. For the last 8 years. An old friend majored in post-medieval Russian music, which is a field that can only lead back into academia. Even in the 80s, the US produced more journalism majors than there were journalists. At a graduation at the University of Redlands, they have a degree whereby you basically take the classes you want and call it what you want. The degree conferred was, I kid you not, still trying to figure out who I am. Frisbee. A friend's roommate at Amherst was in some kind of create-your-own major thing and chose Frisbee. His family had mommy and college was just a formality. PEI Bonewitz got an BA from UC Berkeley in magic. Not sure if still available, but in Japan you could get a degree in making tea. Admittedly the whole traditional process is very much like a dance or performance rather than just boiling the kettle and using a tea bag, but when I first heard of it I was like WTF, kids these days. I have a BS in tough grass science. Somebody got a degree from just studying the Beatles. My college briefly had a major in Nordic lesbianism. I had a friend who got a 4-year full-ride academic scholarship. At our college the honors program had its own major, with stringent writing and course requirements you had to complete along with your, ideally, primary major. My buddy graduated in 5 years, paying for the last one, with a major in only honors, minor in sports medicine. Bible. Not religious studies or theological history, it's just Bible. I think it was Anno the Reddit post somewhere else, but one guy knew Anno the guy who had majored in Egyptology, where the only way to make money was to get a master's in Egyptology and teach Egyptology, a literal pyramid scheme. Did some prereqs at a school that offered storytelling as a degree. Also had a bluegrass major. I actually think they're both really interesting fields, and I appreciate Appalachian culture being preserved that way. Sadly, surviving late-stage capitalism doesn't leave a lot of people time to study things because of passion. It's all about the grind. Cat psychology. My college had a hippie offshoot and the rumor was my year a gal graduated with a degree in cat psychology. That new influencer degree in Ireland. My generation keeps disappointing me. Comedy at Emerson. My mother's best friend had a PhD in genocide studies. That's not really ridiculous, but She was the happiest, most chipper person I had ever met, and I was always thinking, is she taking something to be like this? Or is she just a little crazy? Because I would be depressed. Indiana University in Bloomington has a program where you can create your own degree. Will Shorts made his degree in enigmatology. General Studies. I attended a graduation for a good friend, and some guy who was also getting his diploma got his degree in General Studies. Still have no clue what that means, but congrats to the random stranger I never met. He got a degree. I remember a basketball player who majored in French. I was impressed. Until I realized he was a foreign student from a French-speaking country. FSU has a high-flying circus program. I had a friend who graduated with a degree in turf management. He worked on golf courses. I met a guy from Texas A&M who said all the jocks and meatheads majored in poultry science. Wood. You can major in wood at Purdue, where you're learning about wood processing after it's harvested for lumber. Only about 6 folks enrolled at any time. I once worked at a pharma company, and worked with a guy with Dr. in his name on his door. Later found out his PhD was specifically in decision making. Sounded insane until he explained it was related to ethics in the field of philosophy. Economics. That's my degree. Trust me. I ran into a college at a career fair that was shilling at degree in esports management. Like a degree in managing esport teams. The guy got offended when I told him that it was a ridiculous concept. A friend of mine failed out of the nursing program his last semester of college. Nearly 4 years wasted, so they let him graduate with a life sciences degree. Not a major, but I know this chick who did a PhD in film and she's fucking insufferable. I once heard her tell a guy who was reading a short story collection that short stories were a good choice for a beginner-level reader. Yes, because we know that the only mark of a complex work of literature is page count. I guess she learned during her PhD that TV shows are less complex than movies or something. And even if you ignore that, she's a fucking condescending fake intellectual asshole pretty much 24/7, she's not even a filmmaker or a film historian on anything of relevance to her PhD, but she still acts like her doctoral thesis was the cure for all cancers or something. Master's degree in Magic and Occult Science from the University of Exeter in the UK. No idea what the fuck they're playing at. My college in Florida offered a major in Canadian-American relations. Edit. Wow, really struck a nerve with the car majors of Reddit. A guy I just hired to work for me went across the border to play baseball, and that was his sole purpose. He has a degree, or diploma, whatever it is, in general studies. Not the most insane title, but certainly a ridiculous. You clearly just went for sports major. I had an advanced rhetoric teacher who was getting a PhD in something related to reality television. Part of our homework was to watch an episode of 24 before every class. Turns out the portfolio at the end of the semester was worth 90% of the grade, so I just skipped the class and wrote about 90 pages worth of rhetorical criticism essays on the war on drugs during a 3-day Adderall and Red Bull fueled binge at the end of the semester. Got a C+. PhD in Estonian history. She was engaged to an Estonian man, and when she went to visit him, he left her for another woman because he couldn't be with a woman who made more than him. She became a lawyer because her degree was so useless. It was kind of sad. She told me she thought blowing a hot guy would make her feel better. Nonviolent studies. A friend majored in it. I never figured out exactly what it was, but he eventually became a professor of American Studies. Puppetry. It was a major at West Virginia University as of a couple years ago. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like something you can learn without a degree. When I clicked around in the page for their degree program, it only listed a couple employers that graduates from their program went on to work for, whereas there were dozens of employees listed on the pages of other programs. My uncle graduated with a general studies degree back in the 80s. Half the college degrees officers come in the military with. Why on earth has nobody mentioned clown colleges? https://clowns.org/top-clowns-u-s/right ? As in, actual colleges where they teach people how to be professional clowns. There is also a McDonald's college, https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/hamburger_university. Which has no relation to clown college, but it would be fair to call anyone who attends a clown for their poor decision making.